Hey everyone, it's Jason. Today I'm going to do a comparison between Unstable Unicorns, the original base set, versus the brand new second edition. Might not be super new, but it's what's in stores now. I don't think you're going to find the original set anymore very often. Just one small caveat to this. This is actually the one I bought at GameStop. The only difference between the GameStop version and the regular version was one card got swapped out, which I'll point it out when I get to that, going through the cards. Otherwise, it's the same as the regular base set. My camera tried to kill it, so sorry there. And you see basically the boxes are the same, except for a little bit different text. I'm going to flip to the pictures here. So they did swap out some of the pictures, and it's basically because they got rid of some of the cards and they swapped in newer ones. So like this one has the Puppycorn, this one has Necromancer, I believe, and they swapped out the zombie for the caffeinated one. And that guy's still there, and these two are the exact same. Even the inside artwork is the same. So if that was an issue, if you like preferred one box over the other. The other difference is on the back. This is 2.0. This 2019's date down there, just showing the new Dark Angel. Some of the other cards. And then this is the GameStop one, which is why it has the gamer corn on it. The other box might have a different picture here. That's just those two pieces. So we're going to jump into just some of the quick differences on some of the cards. Backs are the exact same. Nothing changed there. Should be 100% integratable. So you can even take the new cards out, or the cards that are only available still in base set 1, add them to base set 2 if you want to play with all of them. One other thing you're going to notice when we're just looking at the baby ones is this side is, actually I want to flop these around. Let's do side set 2 on the second side. So all the cards here are basically the same. The one big major change they made was they added extra symbol at the bottom corner, and that's because, especially me playing with people that aren't generally gamers, like Magic the Gathering, some of those people, they flip their cards upside, left, side, right, and everything, and if you don't sleeve them, you're just playing casual people, they're not going to care. So this way you can tell what kind of card it is no matter which direction it's sitting in your hand. I think that's the idea there. And then they also added a little unicorn symbol, and it's just a dictated set 2. But as you can see, the babies are the exact same. You got 2 baby narwhals. And it's the same with all the rest of the babies. All the different ones are the same. I'm not going to go through each one of them since nothing changed amongst those. The other thing that didn't change were the basic unicorns. Stayed the same, they just got their new symbols. Otherwise, everything else stayed the same. The only thing I believe that is different, and I can't prove it because I can't find it for whatever reason, is the base set 2 is called Basic Narwhal. I believe the original one, he was just called a Narwhal. I can't find my card for whatever reason. I've searched all my decks, so I can't for sure confirm that. And then the third set, the bunch of cards that did not really change, are the Nays. So you still get your 15 Nay cards. They did change the text on the cards just slightly though. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So the original one on this side says, when any player tries to play this card. The new version says, when another player tries to play a card. I believe the only reason they did that because when you say any player, it technically means you could nay your own cards. And this, if you play at the new rules, you can only nay another player's cards. I believe that's why they did that. So again, you could really keep in either set if you buy the second one. They did the same thing, any player versus another player. Um, that's up to you on what you want to do. Alright, to go over the differences in the magical unicorns, I'm just going to show both cards at once. You can see the artwork. Some artwork on the newer ones is a little bit lighter on this. Most of the text on some of the cards stays the same, some of it changes. So this one stays exactly the same. If this card is sacrificed or destroyed, you may destroy a unicorn. So Stabby stays the exact same. A unicorn on the cob, you can just tell the artwork's a little bit, it's a little different, like shading, but picture-wise, this one's not any different. But it plays a little, cards the same way, they just change the number 2. So it says when this card enters the stable, draw 2 cards and then discard the cards. They just added the number 2 instead of the word. I think just pointing out a bit more. Your Black Knight, same picture. They did change the text on this one. If one of your unicorns would be destroyed, you may sacrifice this card instead. So now it says, if a unicorn in your stable would be destroyed, you may sacrifice this card instead. It's just adding that it's in the stable versus just anywhere. Although, versus the way the words in the rule are, destroyed means if it's in the stable. I think it's just to help new players figure stuff out quicker. Rainbow Unicorn, change the text here as well. When this card enters your stable, you may also bring a basic unicorn directly from your stable into your stable from your hand. So now it becomes, when this enters your stable, you may bring a basic unicorn from your hand into your stable. Basically, they just got rid of you may also bring and just said you may bring. And again, I think it's just cleaning up the text a bit. Shabby Narwhal. When this card enters your stable, you may search your deck for a downgrade card, add it to your hand, then shuffle the deck. When this card enters the stable, you may search your deck for a downgrade card, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. It sounds exactly the same. Oh, they just changed it. They changed it from search your deck for downgrade card, and they put and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck instead of making a separate statement. That's just probably so you know you have to do it all in one action. It's not search your deck and then you can add it. Just do it all at once. Here we got a Shark with a Horn. When this card enters your stable, you may destroy a unicorn. If you do, sacrifice this card. When this card enters your stable, you may sacrifice this card and then destroy a unicorn. So they just, again, they swapped it around and made it one giant statement. So instead of saying, you may destroy a card, then you can sacrifice it. You said, sacrifice this to destroy a card. It just makes the gameplay terminology simpler. Magical Flying Unicorn. So again, I think they just making the text easier. When it enters your stable, you may choose a unicorn from the discard pile, add it to your hand. If this card is sacrificed or destroyed, return it to your hand. It just says, when this card enters your stable, add a unicorn from the discard. So they just broke it into 2 separate. This effect, and then this is a separate effect. Just so you know they're not the same effect. Mermaid Unicorn. This card enters the stable, you may return a card in any player's stable to that player's hand. Enter the stable, return a card in another player's stable to their hand. Just cleaning up the language. That's all they're doing there. So I definitely, just by going over these, I'd say if you have a choice, get base set 2. It'll definitely make the rules easier to understand. These are the exact same text. They just changed something because the font is in a different spot. Yeah, I just think they moved in down. That's all they did. Oh, and then they changed it again here. And period, and then add it, and so this is and add. So, yeah, if you're brand new to the game, pick up base set 2. That way you got the cleaner language, you'll understand the game easier. But if you want all the different cards, pick up something. Now this one's kind of cool because they changed the artwork from base set 1 to base set 2. So I don't know if they just keep eating each other because he has like a blue smudge and now he has a pink smudge. Or if he just got sicker or he's choking to death, I'm not sure. But it also makes the easier. This card counts as 2 unicorns. You cannot play A cards. Where it says this card counts as 2 unicorns that are stable as long as you cannot play instances. They also changed it because when the first game came out, all instances were nays. And it has been the same up through every single set except for Controlling Chaos, which are the Kickstarter ones, added other instance cards that were not just nays. And then the new set that's coming out in 2020, Adventures, will also add other non-nay instant cards. So I think they're just ahead of time cleaning up that language. I do like that this artwork's a little bit less dark. When this card enters the stable, each player must sacrifice a unicorn. When this card enters it, each player, including you, must sacrifice a unicorn. And I think they just added that again, just make it simpler so you know that that affects you as well. Here we have a chainsaw unicorn. It's a different color. He has a white mane. He has a frowny mask with angry eyebrows instead of a smiling mask. So again, this should be if you really want to have all the different artwork, buy both sets. Otherwise, when this card enters your stable, you may sacrifice or destroy an upgrade or a downgrade card. When this card enters your stable, you may destroy an upgrade card or sacrifice a downgrade card. And I think they changed it because the way the game works is destroying is your stuff, sacrificing is something happens to your opponent. Just that way it separates that terminology back out. That's probably stuff that people got confused about when they were playing, and that's understandable if you're not used to playing games. Here there's just separates the one effect from the second effect. So card enters a stable, choose a player. So it does change. When this card enters your stable, you may choose any player. That player must discard a card, and it changes it. When this enters your stable, you may force another player to discard a card. So it makes it a little bit more. You have to do. If I choose you, you have to do this. Here we have a rhino corn. Again, the lighter artwork looks a little bit nicer. If this card is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may destroy a unicorn and then end your turn immediately. If this card is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may destroy a unicorn card. If you do, immediately end your turn. So that's actually different because normally they split the two statements up. Here they made it into a separate one. But then it's just because it's a conditional. You don't have to do it, and that's why they separate it. Where the other ones, you have to do them. Here we have a kitten corn. He goes from being an angry little kitten corn to a smiley kitten corn. Which says, as long as this card is in your stable, it cannot be destroyed or affected by magic cards. And here it just changed it, cannot be destroyed by magic cards. So it actually makes it a slightly different card. Because not being affected and not being destroyed are two separate things. So that's interesting. Unicorn Phoenix loses a lot of text. When this card enters your stable, discard a card. If this card is sacrificed or destroyed, bring it directly back into your stable. If you are unable to discard a card, this card is destroyed. So this just says, if it would be sacrificed or destroyed, you may discard a card instead. So rather than all this extra stuff saying, if it's done this, you can bring it back, this is saying, instead of letting it get to the discard pile and then bring it back, it's saying, discard to stop it, otherwise it happens. A lot easier to understand. Magical Flying Unicorn, just again separates these two different keywords out. Enters the stable, you may add a magic card from your discard pile to your hand. And then here it just says you may choose a magic card from the discard pile, add it to your hand. It rephrases it a bit. Here we have our Americorn. When this card enters the stable, you may take a card at random from any player's hand, add it to your own. When this card enters the stable, you may pull a card at random from another player's hand. Adding the word pull, which is in some of the later expansions. Swiftly Flying Unicorn. Enters your stable, you may choose an instant card from the discard pile, add it to your hand. Enters your stable, you may add a nay card. So again, it changes it to nay instead of instant. So this, unlike the other one where it made a difference, kind of, this one actually changes how the card can work. Because this one can find any instant, this one can only find nay cards. So the newer one actually becomes less effective if you add it with every set. If you're just playing the base set, then it doesn't matter. Because all instances are nays. Greedy Flying Unicorn. When this card enters the stable, draw a card. Enter the stable, draw a card. Just split up the two. Alright, halfway through the magical. So here they changed it from a white sheep, or a white llama, to a black llama. And I'm wondering if because maybe the white one is also in the Rainbow Apocalypse expansion. This card enters the stable, each player must discard a card. So you just enter the stable, each player, including you, must discard a card. It got rid of the shuffle and the discard pile back into the deck. So again, it makes these two slightly different cards, because this one reshuffles your discard, but maybe they realized that game was dragging on too long. Here's a Queen Bee. As long as it's in your stable, no other player can play basic unicorns. Basic unicorns cannot enter a player's stable except yours. So, same thing, just different wordage. Seductive Unicorn has two different artworks, a pink and red versus a white and blue. This enters your stable, you may move a unicorn from any player's stable to your stable. If this card leaves your stable, move the unicorn back. So then when this enters stable, you may discard a card, then steal a unicorn. So these again are two separate different cards. It says when it moves to your stable, you may steal one, but if it leaves, you have to put it back. Where this one just says you may discard a card to steal it. So you keep it permanently, but you lose a card just when it stays as long as you have it. I just also noticed, I don't know how I missed this before, but it says card type unicorn, magical. Now they're just called magical unicorn cards. I don't know how I missed that before. Well, it's probably the same with the babies and basics. I'll have to double check that quick. Here's your alluring narwhal. Enters your stable, you may move an upgrade from any player's stable to your own. And when it enters the stable, you may steal an upgrade. So they just, instead of moving stuff, they changed it to the word steal, trying to keep some of them keywords in there. So every time you take something from somebody else, it's stealing. If you're taking a card from their hand, it's pulling. Destroying is yours, sacrificing is on your opponent's field. So Narwhal, the classiest of Narwhal. Enters your stable, search your deck for an upgrade card, add it to your hand. And then you just made it a run-on sentence. Well, not a run-on sentence, but a full sentence. The Narwhal Torpedo. This card enters the stable, sacrifice all downgrade cards in your stable. Enters your stable, sacrifice all downgrade cards. It's the same exact card. One of the few cards that didn't change, it was simple enough. Now we come to the interesting thing. You're going to notice these are two separate cards. So the base set, one, has the Angel Unicorn. They got rid of it and replaced it with the Dark Angel Unicorn. And they did this for, I think, four or five different cards. I'm not sure why. Some of them, like the Angel Unicorn, are also in Rainbow Apocalypse expansion, so maybe they thought, get rid of it. People buy the expansion, they've already got one. But then there's other cards that are in both as well, so it doesn't make complete sense. So this one says, if this card is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may sacrifice it. If you do, choose a unicorn from the discard pile to bring into your table. So get rid of this to put a card from the discard into your hand, or into your stable. This card enters the stable and may sacrifice a unicorn card, then bring a unicorn card from the discard to your stable. So basically the same effect, except the Dark Angel sacrifices a unicorn card, the Angel Unicorn sacrifices this card. And it's also at the beginning of your turn versus when it enters the turn. So again, they're two different effects. You could get both and play them together. It's not just like new artwork for a different card. Here's the other new ones. The old one had Zombie Unicorn. The new one has Necromancer. So a zombie, this card is in your stable at the beginning of your turn. You may discard a unicorn. If you do, choose a unicorn from the discard pile and bring it to your stable, and then your turn ends. So you have to wait till your beginning of a turn. You could discard a card to bring another unicorn back within your turn's turn. It's basically your play for the turn. Necromancer, when this card enters the stable, you may discard 2 unicorn cards, then bring a unicorn from the discard to your stable. So they both get you a unicorn, but again, like the angels, it's beginning of the turn versus immediate effect. But this also ends your turn, but this costs you 2 cards. So it's a give and take. Alright. And then we have the Extremely Fertile Unicorn, which this one and the Zombie and the Angel are all available in the Rainbow Apocalypse expansion. So if you want those 3 cards and you bought base set 2, you can still get them. Extremely Fertile Unicorn versus Mother Goose Unicorn. So these two are like not even really polar opposites, or maybe Mother Goose is watching all this guy's babies. This card enters your stable at the beginning of your turn. You may discard a card. If you do, bring a baby unicorn directly from the stable to the nursery. So again, it's the beginning of the turn effect. Discard, you get a free baby. And this one, because it's when you enter the stable, you may bring a baby from the nursery. So this one gets you a free baby without having to discard, and gets you to play it. So much better. But this one can be used repeatedly. So there's also the difference between the when it comes into play versus that. And then here's the odd ones. The Gamer Unicorn, which is from the GameStop exclusive box. The regular base set has Puppycorn, which I do not have. I didn't realize until I got base set 2 and started going through them that I thought this was just an extra card, not a replacement card. So I'm going to have to try and hunt down Puppycorn. So I'm not sure how he's different than Gamercorn off the top of my head. And then the new one, though, is the Unicorn Oracle. So a Gamercorn says, when this card enters your stable, you may also bring an upgrade directly from your stable to your hand. Into your stable from your hand, so you play a free upgrade. The Oracle is when this card enters the stable, take the top 3 cards of your deck, add one of them to your hand, return the other 2 in any order. So completely different effects. But if you want this cool card, that's in set 2. It's just a quick interjection into the base set versus base set 2, since I was going through the cards I mentioned that some of the ones that got removed from base set 1, they are no longer in base set 2, are in the Rainbow Apocalypse expansion. So I just wanted to kind of do a quick showing of them too, just to show some of the differences. So if you decide to only buy base set 2, and then you want to buy this, just so you know there are slightly differences. So Extremely Destructive Unicorn, which again it's going to have the updated card type, but that's here nor there. Has the exact same effect. So that one doesn't change. And this, I'm just comparing base set to this, not to what it looked like in base set 2. So they did change up the Extremely Fertile Unicorn a bit. So now it says, they just reworded it. So it's not too different. If you do, bring a baby unicorn from the nursery directly into the stable. So those two are basically the same. And they kept all the same artwork. So they did change this one up. So it says, as long as it's in your stable, cannot be destroyed or affected. And then this says, this card cannot be destroyed or otherwise affected by magic cards. So it just says, check out the as it's in your stable. The difference though is in set 2, again, it got rid of the affected part and just said not destroyed. So it's a slightly different card. Llama corns are the exact same. And I know some of these were in the second set anyhow. I just want to show that there were some differences they updated. So like the Phoenix, like where they got rid of they just changed it up a little bit. They kept it basically the same in this one. But it just changed. So you can bring it, the set 2.0 changed it. So if it's destroyed or sacrificed, discard a card to avoid that. This kept the same thing. It says it has to go, when it enters the stable, discard a card. If it is sacrificed or destroyed, bring it directly back to your stable if you have at least one card in your hand. Which actually changes it. Sacrifice or destroy, bring it directly back to your stable. If you are unable to discard a card, this is destroyed. So it just tells you, this one says, if you can't discard, do it, but it just says you should have out. It's a little bit different. Not too bad. So then we also have our zombies. Which the big difference I noticed on here is it says, then immediately skip to your end of turn phase, rather than immediately end your turn. So a little bit different. I still think if you still want some of these cards, like the angel or the zombie, you can get them in this other set without having to go buy the full base set. Again, you have all the duplicate cards, and these are basically the same. So that's just an option. So if you can't find base set 1, or you don't want to spend the full $20 it costs to buy a brand new base set, you could just buy base set 2 with the rainbow expansion, which is probably like $10. It'd save you a couple bucks. And get those cards that you were missing for the most part. Alright, so now we're going to look at the magic cards. So we got 2 of each. They kept the same number on any ones they kept. So they didn't change the numbers that you have of each. So unfair bargain, again, they changed the card. Instead of calling it a card type magic, they just listed as magic. Trade hands with any player versus trade hands with another player. Again, just clarification, so you can't trade hands with yourself. Because I'm sure people tried to break that rule. So you get 3 of the unicorn poisons, which are destroy a unicorn card. Again, just probably clarification to have the word card in there. You're reprinting these anyhow, why not? I don't think too many of these change that much. Blatant thievery, look at any player's hand versus look at another player's hand. Targeted destruction, so they did change the artwork slightly. They had like a little laser sight in there. And got rid of the extra lines. Kind of cleaned up the artwork a little. Sacrifice or destroy an upgrade or downgrade, and then said destroy an upgrade or sacrifice a downgrade, yours versus your opponent's. Just, keeping all that terminology the same. You get 2 unicorn swaps. Trade a unicorn in your stable for a unicorn in another player's stable. And then now it actually added a lot of text. It's move a unicorn in your stable to another player, and then steal a unicorn from their stable. So rather than trade, it's just telling you to actually do game mechanics. Move it, and then steal one. So they did a great job with this 2.0, making the game, I think, easier for players. 3 back ticks, same artwork. Return a card in any player's stable to the player's hand. That player must discard a card. Return a card in another player's stable to their hand. That player must discard a card. Again, it's the any versus another. This one could actually make a difference because if you played any player, you could return a card to your hand and then discard it. So if you had a card you didn't want, you could get rid of it that way. Versus this one, you have to pick another player. Whoops. Put cards in the wrong deck. Alright, reset button. Each player must sacrifice all of their upgrade and downgrade cards, shuffle the discard pile into the deck. Each player, including you, must sacrifice all upgrade and downgrade cards in their stable and just shuffle the discards. So again, just adding the including you. Because some people might be like, well, why would you play something that hurts yourself? It's how it is sometimes. The stamp liquor, good deal. Actually, I think they're coupons, not stamps. Draw 3 cards, discard a card, just change it to the number 3. I think for quicker visual verification. 2 retargets. Move an upgrade or downgrade card from any player's stable to another stable. Stay exactly the same. We got 2 glitter tornadoes. Return a card in each player's stable to that player's hand. Return a card in each player's stable, including yours, to their hand. And just clarifying the you're part of the bad stuff on everybody. 2 change of lucks. Draw 2 cards, discard 3, take another turn, draw 2, discard 3, take another turn. Change them to numbers. We have the Shake Up. Shuffle this card, your hand, and discard pile into the deck, then draw 5 cards. Just changed it to the number 5. Also added it into another sentence. So do this, shuffle, discard, do this. When you're done with that, then draw 5 cards. Just to show that they're 2 separate effects, I guess. 2 for 1, we got 2 of each. Sacrifice a card, then destroy 2 cards, change the number. Mystical Vortex. Each player, including you, must discard a card. So we just added that in there. And then we have one brand new card. So we used to have Unicorn Shrink Ray. Now we have Kiss of Life. So Unicorn Shrink Ray said replace all unicorns in any player stable with baby unicorns from the nursery. All the replaced unicorns go to the discard pile. So basically getting rid of players magical and everything, but they don't lose the number that they need to win. They just lose the effects. Kiss of Life, bring a unicorn from the discard pile into your stable. So this would be one of them reasons if you got both sets, then you could get both cards because they play completely different. But that's up to you. Oh, just a little late in the video, but I wanted to point this out as I did find this. So the base set 1 has Narwhal. Base set 2.0 calls it a basic Narwhal. I think the main reason they did this is because all the other basic unicorns are called basic unicorn or whatever. So I think they just wanted so you didn't get confused with a different Narwhal card. You can still search for it with other Narwhal cards. Alright, we are on to upgrade cards. Start on the positive, we'll end on the bad downgrades. You know what I mean. So we got 2 yays. So as long as this card is in your stable, it cannot be made. Cards you play cannot be made. So just took out they did a lot of that, taking out if it's in your stable. I think it's just the idea is if it's in your hand, cards don't have effects, so they only have effects when they're on the table or in your stable. So they just try to like get rid of some wordage. So we have Double Dutch. This card's in a stable at the beginning of your turn. You may play 2 cards during your turn instead of 1. If this card's in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may play 2 cards during your action step. So it just got rid of the instead of 1, added the number 2. Tried to streamline some of that. We have a Rainbow Aura, the unicorn going Super Saiyan. As long as it's in your stable, unicorns cannot be destroyed. Your unicorn cards cannot be destroyed. Again, they had the word cards after unicorn to specify, and it got rid of the stable part. And then we have the last of the easier ones to go through, glitter bombs. If a card in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may sacrifice a card, then destroy a card. Beginning of your turn, you may sacrifice a card, then destroy a card. It's the same exact effect, nothing changed. Now, here's where we start getting some oddballs, not so bad, but Unicorn Lasso became a Rainbow Lasso. So, if this card's in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may move a unicorn from any player's stable to your stable, which is stealing. At the end of your turn, move the unicorn back to the original stable. So basically, you borrow it for a turn, see if you win or gain an effect, and then you have to take it back. So Rainbow Lasso changes. It says, if this is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, discard 3 cards and steal it. So now it costs you 3 cards, but you get it permanently, versus playing this to gain a card for 1 turn. So again, completely different effects. They could have useful either way. So just another reason to maybe buy that set. Here's where everything starts getting really weird, because they're not really 1-for-1 changes. So we have a summoning ritual we're losing, we're gaining a caffeine overload. And I only match these cards because it was 1 of each. If this card is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may discard 2 unicorns and bring a unicorn directly from your stable to the discard pile. Or, if this is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may sacrifice a card to draw 2 cards. So this one, you're discarding 2 cards to gain a unicorn. Capping overload, you're sacrificing a card to draw 2. And sacrifice doesn't have to be a unicorn, it could be an upgrade or a downgrade or whatever. So again, 2 different cards. So, and here's even more randomness. So you get the ones we have 3 of. We have Extra Tail versus Stable Artillery. So Extra Tail says you must have a basic unicorn in your stable in order to play this card. If it is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may draw an extra card. So you get an extra card as long as you have a basic unicorn. Stable Artillery says, if it's in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may discard 2 cards, then destroy a unicorn. So, 2 very different effects. So it's drawing extra cards, or discarding stuff to destroy a unicorn. Either way. And the last 2 upgrade cards we have are base set Rainbow Mane, which we have 3 of, and base set 2 Claw Machine. So, Rainbow Mane says, you must have a basic unicorn in your stable in order to play this card. If this is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, you may bring a unicorn from your hand directly into play. So, like the Extra Tail, it requires you to have a basic unicorn. So that might be why they got rid of these, because if they're sitting there and you don't draw a basic unicorn, you're not going to get to play it. Or, if you have magical unicorns, they're 90% of the time better to play than a basic unicorn. So ideally, with Rainbow Mane, Extra Tail, if you drew a basic unicorn early on, then drew these would be helpful. But I know I was playing a game the other week, and I didn't have any basic unicorns. I had cards that required basic unicorns, so they just sat dead in my hand. So I think that's probably why they got rid of these. They didn't want to rely on you having a specific type of card. Because it's in order to play it. It's not just you have to have one. But you can bring a basic unicorn from your hand to your stable. So that's kind of nifty. Claw Machine, the new one. If this is in your stable at the beginning of your turn, discard a card, then draw a card. And just kind of goes back to what I was just saying. If you didn't have the right thing, you're adding more ways for you to discard to gain extra cards. Cycle through your hand. Don't be stuck with cards that are useless to you. Alright, and the final one we're going to go over, if my camera wants to focus. Alright, are the downgrade cards. There are, just quick spoilers, there's no brand new downgrade cards. So these are only going to be a difference in text if there are any. So we have the two Pandemoniums. As long as this card is in your stable, all your unicorns are considered pandas, not unicorns. Cards that affect unicorns do not affect pandas. So they cleaned it up, says all your unicorns are considered pandas. Cards that affect unicorns do not affect your pandas. This is a really cool card. You also go with, they have, I think, a Llama one and one other one. There's one in the not safe for work edition, which I'm not going to talk about just because I don't want to bring that into this. So here we have Blinding Light. They changed the artwork. So he's got a teeth smiley face, and he has two bulls versus a peace sign. As long as this card is in your stable, unicorn cards cannot. Your unicorn card effects cannot be activated. They changed it to all your unicorn cards are considered basic unicorns with no effect. Again, it doesn't seem like it's any difference, like you just reworded it. But it's actually a huge thing, because if this changes them to be considered basic unicorns, then any card that, like, you need to acquire a basic unicorn would work well with. It's actually going through all this. I didn't think there was as many combos as I would have thought, but I might have to do a combo video. I've had people asking about them. Broken Stable, same picture and everything. As long as it's in your stable, you cannot play upgrade cards. Just straight up, you cannot play upgrade cards. Just remove that in your stable part. The Sadistic Ritual. If it's in your stable at the beginning of your turn, sacrifice a unicorn, then draw an extra card. Sacrifice, and then draw a card. So just got rid of the word extra. Because I think extra, like, well, why did I draw one in the first place? They meant extra as opposed to your regular drawing for the turn. Barbed Wire. As long as in your stable, you must discard each time a unicorn enters or leaves your stable. Each time a unicorn enters or leaves your stable, discard a card. And the in your stable part, I also think, is because they have the at the beginning of your turn if this card's in your stable. So we just not have two different cards that refer to being in their stable. Nanny Cam. As long as it's in your stable, you must play with your hand visible. You must play with your hand visible to all players. We have the Tiny Stable. As long as it's in your stable, you can only have 5 unicorns in your stable. So they just change it slightly. If at any time you have more than 5 unicorns in your stable, sacrifice a unicorn card. Again, very minor difference. It seems like this does the same thing. You can only have 5 unicorns. But this one says you can only have 5. So no matter what, you can never have more than 5. This says if you have more than 5, sacrifice. So you could play a 6th or a 7th one and then sacrifice the one you don't want. So there is a variation on those. And then the last one we have is Slowdown, which I love because it has the 2 different Ginormicorns. So the purple one from the base set and the green one from the base set too. Cannot play instant cards, cannot be made. Again, slight differences, but they're playing the base set, exact same card. Because all instances are nay cards. But if you're playing Control and Chaos, or if the new Adventure set coming out, instant cards are different than nay cards. Because not all nay cards are instances, but not all instances are nay cards. So that is Unstable Unicorns. The difference between the second edition, I kept calling it 2.0 for some reason, but it's the second edition versus the base set. Later this year, they'll also be releasing a travel edition, which is going to have less cards. This has 135. I think they're going to probably dropping about in half. I'm not sure of the final number right now. Just so you can take it, you can play a quick game with some friends. It'll probably drop the count from 7 to like 4, something like that, for how many you need to win. But it's going to have specific cards that are just for travel, so I will be buying that, of course, so I can get those. Catch you guys later. Bye.